Hey everybody, welcome back to Still Can't Cook. We're going to have a fun episode today. We're going to talk about navigating through life and legacy when you didn't stick to the script. My life, as we all know, took kind of a strange course. I mean, I don't know if it's a strange course, but I decided not to have children. And it kind of shifts what you leave behind clearly. I know growing up, my mother always said, wear what she did. And she was very proud to leave children to then have their children, and so on and so on. And clearly, I don't have that. I do have Oliver, which I don't think he's going to be around to take care of me when I'm in a nursing home. But it is definitely filling a space of love. You know, I think that that's really important during your life. While you're here, if you don't have children to love or love you back, to have a pet has really been, I didn't even know I was missing it. I thought I was full and fell head over heels in love with this animal. And so it has given me great pleasure in my day-to-day now. But really the story is what we leave behind. So before we dive in, I want to thank you for coming back every week, and please subscribe and review wherever you watch your podcasts. I seriously appreciate you guys coming back all the time. But we need you to subscribe and to review. Okay, so to get into today's episode, I'm going to give you a little life update. So as of right now, some things are going on that are making me kind of step back and think about why we're doing this episode and why we're talking about legacies to begin with. And that's getting to an age where people my age, my friends, my childhood friends, people I grew up with, people I know, my husbands and wives of people I know are getting sick, actually getting sick. And we're getting to the point where death is not that rare happening at our age. It's not 53, you're no longer a tragic death. I remember watching on the news, or still today, I mean, I hear it every day, sadly, tragic death of, and, they describe the death of a young person. It's the tragic death of a 24-year-old. But it's there's not a tragic death of a 53-year-old unless you get thrown out of a window or something, or a building collapses on you. And that happens too, by the way. It's happened all over the world. But in reality, day to day, someone my age dies of natural causes. And it's kind of yeah, they were kind of young, but it's no longer tragically young. So you kind of get in your own head about, what are you doing? How do you take care of yourself? When was the last time I really did an inventory on my health and how I'm taking care of myself? I talked in the past about, not eating meat or what all the things are. But really the last time I took really good care of myself and decided to cleanse myself, I went a year without drinking alcohol. And what had happened was I worked at a bar, and I worked in the F&B part, food and beverage part of a hotel. And my family owned a bar on the corner across the street from my job. So I would come out of work and I had no bill. I never paid for any of my alcohol. I had signing privileges. So I would get out at night and I'd go stand at my brother's bar. And the next day, my dad would call and be like, "Hey, Kellyanne, how many people were you with last night?" 7 Coronas. And I was like, "Oh yeah, 3 of us." Me, by myself, just me. And I would, you do that a couple nights a week and a couple months in a row, and you're like, oh, when you don't have to pay the check, I swear. I mean, some people probably take inventory when they're feeling themselves falling down, but I could handle the alcohol and not be so outwardly drunk. My friends will tell you, I will have to tell you I'm drunk. I'm the person that goes, "Oh no, I'm wasted." And then you're like, "Really? I didn't know." No, yeah, no, I'm sure. If I say it, it's happening. And if I get past the point of verbally being wasted, then I'm probably getting sick, and you're going to have to hold my head out the car window, which actually happens too, which is sad. Shouldn't happen at my age, but it actually happened in Miami recently. But I think it was a mixture of seafood and sake, yeah. Anyway, I'm running around. So I had decided years ago that I was drinking too much and I wanted to stop and detox. So I decided to take a year sober. So much happened in that year. One of the things that happens is, so little backstory again, my father is an alcoholic, stopped drinking, gave it up, never sipped another drink of alcohol, and was recovering up until he passed away. He wasn't an AA kind of alcoholic, but he went away, stopped drinking, and was a dry drunk is what they say if you're in AA. But I always had kind of the fear of alcohol and drugs around me. Grew up in 70s, lots of drugs, a lot of addicts and addiction in the family, lots of isms, and always kind of a conversation. You know, I had cousins that were doing drugs and, you know, people around me. So we kind of always stopped. I always stopped and kind of was like, wait, okay, I would take a break from drinking. And I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. I smoked 3 packs a day for years. But we'll talk about that. I no longer smoke, thank God. But yeah, so I decided to stop drinking. And I'll tell you something, you know, people talk about the 90 days thing, and I didn't know what that meant, because you know that you got a chip in AA when you're 90 days sober. But I'll tell you something, the first 90 days are really hard, and you start, and anyone who's done this I would love to hear your opinion on this, but you kind of change who you like. You know, when you're drinking and you're out at the bar and you're hanging out with people, and you can deal with people who are drunk when you're drunk too, but there are some people who are like really shitty drunks, and when you're sober you can't be around them. So the first 90 days, I think what happens is you're kind of re-editing your life. You're like, oh yeah, I can't stand this one. There are people you actually can't spend time with, or I found I couldn't spend time with when I was sober, who I would be hanging out with till 2-3 o'clock in the morning when we were both drinking. So you spend a lot more time. I found myself spending more time by myself. And one of the things I did is you would tell, I mean, you get proud of yourself. You tell people I'm not drinking. 2 things happen when you tell people you're not drinking. Everyone thinks you're an alcoholic, because why would you stop if you don't have a problem? And then everyone's just waiting for you to fuck up and drink. So I was working at the Soho Grand at the time, and Nathan Lane was staying at the hotel, and Nathan Lane, we were talking, you know, about sobriety, and I was not drinking, and John Corbett was there at the same time, was the guy from Sex and the City. And he wasn't drinking either. And we were all talking, and I said, I think Nathan was back to drinking again, but he had taken some chunk of time off, and he said the craziest thing is the minute you tell people you're not drinking anymore, they look to see if you're drinking. So then you find yourself, when you decide if you ever want to drink again, you're becoming a sneak now. It's this weird little thing that happens. He said when you quit drinking, you should keep it a secret, because there's always a judgment on top of it. And it really was. It was like people would, then they feel bad about their drinking around you. People start apologizing. It's like, I'm good, you can have a drink. I'm just not drinking. Like, there's no big cause here. It's like, I just wanted to check it out. So anyway, about 90 days in, this is like through the course of, but I decided that maybe I should go to a meeting. I was like, this has got to be, because I thought this was supposed to be fun. You know, this is like not, it wasn't fun, because I was losing friends. As I said, I had these friends that were my bar friends. And then when you're not drinking, they're not your friends anymore. Or you can't stand them, actually. They probably couldn't stand me either when I was sober. So I ended up going to an AA meeting. And that was a whole other trip. And great respect to anyone who is in the program, and not that we can talk about it because you're not supposed to. But if you are, congratulations, are good for you, whatever gets you there. But one of the things that happened to me was I just couldn't, the stories that were being told comparative to mine, I was like, oh yeah, no, I need to probably let these guys have this to themselves. And, you know, it's like, you can't really, you don't want to sit down in a room full of people with cancer and point out you had a little melanoma removed. You know, it's like, wrong room. So yeah, that was kind of my thing. I'm like, I'm dealing with whatever my shit is. And if I was, you know, if I couldn't have stayed sober as long as I wanted to, I probably should have gone back and take a look at it. But at that point, it was not for me. And again, congratulations to anybody's in the program and working it, good for you. But at the point, I wanted to see if it was for me, and it wasn't. But I continued not to drink. So I actually stayed sober for a full year. And at one point, I went to, I spoke of her earlier in one of my episodes, but this woman, Cara, was a friend of my brother Patrick's, and she was opening, I don't remember the name of the nightclub, but Cara, if you're out there, props to you. I went to the opening night with my brother Pat, and I said, you know what, I think I want to have a beer tonight. And I swear the people I was just like, and I'm like, guys, I started drinking, you know, I stopped when I wanted to stop, and I'm going to start when I want to start. And if I feel even the least way about it, I'll just put the drink down and not have it again. But you know what I was drinking, which is an important thing? I was drinking Red Bull and cranberry. I don't know if anybody's ever had a Red Bull and cranberry, but I might as well have just done Coke, because I was zipping through my nights. I was like, oh, I'm not drinking. I was a fucking crazy person. I wasn't drinking alcohol, but I was spinning around like fucking, what's his name? The guy's, I don't know his name. And she won't know his name either because she's 12. But there was a cartoon when I was a kid, and he would spin out. Tasmanian Devil.
Look at me.
For the win. She Googled it while I said it. When I bet she did. Did she? She Googled it. She fucking Googled it.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. I'm having wine in front of the child. Anyway, needless to say, I'm no longer in the program. No, I was never. That's not a joke. I shouldn't joke about the program. It's a very important thing to many people. But I, in fact, took the year off. And one thing I learned is that it's really scary at night to be out on the streets when you're sober. I would come out of the bar like, yeah, I'd walk home all happy, cheering. Right? Sober Kelley, nervous fucking Nelly, I'd run, I'd hide, I'd look for lights. I would have my keys out halfway up the block, scared to death walking up the stairs. Walking up the stairs, I lived on a 4th-floor walk-up. I used to do that, like, yeah, I was scared to death. If I was in my house, I was sober. I never drank in my house. That was a rule. Because my father was an alcoholic, I never drank in the house. I thought it was a thing. And because I didn't cook, you know, women drink wine when they're cooking. Y'all know that? I didn't cook. So it wasn't like I'd sit drinking wine while I was ordering my McDonald's to get there. So I didn't drink at home because I wasn't cooking. So, and I couldn't have beer in the house. And I wasn't a wine drinker. There's a million reasons. I didn't do it. So I would be drinking when I was outside the house. So if I left the house, I'd come home drunk. And I remember like saying that to myself, like, if I'm in my house, I'm sober. If I'm out of my house, I'm drinking. Like, that can't be good. You can't really have that kind of fucking clarity. Like, if I leave my house, I'm going to drink. Okay, maybe we should take a look at it. So anyway, I did. I went a year, felt really good about it, started drinking again. Amstel Light with a lime was my drink of choice for a very long time. I hate Amstel, if you want to sponsor me. And now, again, because I'm at that age where people are getting sick, and I think I might have to do a chunk of time not drinking again. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I might just sit here with a yellow water so y'all don't know. But I think that when you do stuff like this for yourself, you know, when you go out and you talk to too many people about it, you kind of get held to, I mean, it's good to have a group of people hold you responsible because you have to keep your word, but it's also like really scary when you put your business out there like that, you know? So yeah, so I was sober for a year. And then I do want to touch on the other thing that one big moment, huge moment, life-changing, was my quitting smoking. I have people who know me who could tell you that I smoked more than anyone they know. There isn't a person around that smoked as much as I do. I would have a pack of cigarettes with my coffee in the morning. I would smoke 3 to 4 packs a day. If I was drinking, that would be a 6-pack day. I smoked nonstop, 24 hours a day, Marlboro Red. It was disgusting. I went down to Marlboro Lights. For like 2 months, I did Parliaments for a hot second. But if you saw me, there was a cigarette. I was 97 pounds. I'm now nowhere near that. I was gray all the time. I had no idea how sick I was and what I was doing in my body. And I read The Easy Way to Quit Smoking by Alan Carr. And I am not promoting the book, but I am promoting the book. It's life-changing. You smoke the entire time you're reading the book. And I don't know what happens. I really don't. I put out my last cigarette, and that was in 2012, and I never smoked again. And anytime something bad goes on in my life, to this day, maybe not so much now, like maybe this year, but Deanna will constantly be like, you didn't smoke, did you? I'm like, no, I'm never going to smoke again. It's the only thing that I can say. I'm going to go back here. I have had friends who are sober. I have a brother who's sober. And when I say, are you comfortable with me drinking? The best comparison is, are you okay with someone smoking a cigarette? And I was like, I would rather, yeah, exactly. When you quit drinking, or at least the people I've spoken to, and we the drinkers feel bad drinking around them, they kind of really checked me because I do not want a cigarette. And it almost is quite the opposite. So I have heard that when you're sober, and I kind of can go back and remember it a bit, when you're watching someone get drunk, you don't wish you were them. You feel sorry for them. It's kind of how I feel about people who are smoking. Anyway, so I quit smoking. Best thing I ever did. I had no idea what that was doing in my body. And the one thing I will say, anyone who does smoke, if you are interested, it's a great book and it's an audio. And again, it's not a paid promotion thing here. It's a really good book and a great audio. You don't go through these withdrawals. It's not what people tell you it's going to be like. Just trust me. If you want to try it, try it. If you're my friend, text me. I'll send you the audio book. I've sent it to 1 million people. It really does work. And it's one of the best things, if not the best thing I've ever done for myself, was quitting smoking. So here we are now. I'm at that age, going back to what I was saying, where we got to kind of stop and go, how are we doing? What's going on? You can look healthy, and again, you guys know I'm doing all the hormones, but it's like, what am I eating? What am I putting in my body? I eat fucking pizzas and burgers. I have McDonald's. I was depressed 2 weeks ago. I had McDonald's delivered 3 times, and I don't know, man, these quarter pounders, I don't know where they were when I was a kid, but they're fucking good. And I got one that had lettuce mixed on it, which is apparently not right. Order it with the lettuce. It was delish. They made a mistake, and I benefited. Anyway, quarter pounder I found in my 50s, and I love it. But it's very bad for me. I don't support anyone eating junk food as much as I do. But so I'm at this place now. I need to take care of myself. I need to figure out what I'm doing. I need to figure out my legacy. And that's what this whole episode is about. So being in a space now where people are getting sick around me and my age, I mean, there's not a lot of sick people around me, but just hearing of people that I know, people coming down with cancer, people coming down with ailments, who's got, I have had many friendships that have ended along the way. And I don't mean the people that you meet and you go. I'm not talking about the fillers or the front of the house people. I'm talking about like actual friends who were ride or die for chunks of my life, who are no longer in my life. And for one reason or another, change of lifestyle, just some that just, it's like people kind of riding the wave with you when the wave is high, but not being there when you crash. And there's more of them than I'd like to believe, but I feel like I'm thinking about a few of my friends my older friends, the friends that I don't speak to anymore, people who were my friends. I'm thinking about them often. There's a couple people popping up more than others. And I'm wondering if there are times in life where you can take a step away, if you have such a solid core to a friendship that you grow up together, let's say this is someone that's a childhood friend, and then you get to a place where you have a misunderstanding and you take a step back. I think there's probably a heat up moment. I know for me there was like a little build up, like, oh, that's annoying. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, that's doing that. And then you get like, you know what, this fucking person you could have an all out blowout, which I did not have with any of the people I don't speak to. One I did. One I went off on. And then apologized, and she didn't accept the apology because I was right. She's a small-minded human being, and that's why we're not friends. And you know who you are. Then there are people who just, it builds up, and then there's some kind of just misunderstanding and a step back and a kind of a step away from it. And I'm wondering if there's ever enough time when you have a love like that. And friendship is, definitely love-based. My friendships have been. I hope yours are too. When you've loved somebody like that and had an intimate relationship with somebody, when you talk about life and death and crying and blah, 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 when you go through moments, is there a chance to go back and kind of pick it back up? Do you need to take a time out sometimes? Do you think if you haven't said any horrible thing to them or about them, and they haven't said anything horrible to and about you, but there's just been a chunk of like, let's step the fuck back and breathe. Like, do you circle back? Is there a time? And then who does it? Like, do you somehow, I guess in a relationship, a dating relationship, you want them to call first kind of thing, I wonder if it's like that in friendships. Like, I wonder if there are friends that I'm thinking about who are thinking about me, and both of us are going like, oh, they better call or something. And I'm wondering if there will always be a, I remember that you did this. Will there always be a kind of unforgivable time out that maybe will continue, if you pick back up? It isn't weighing on me in a way that I'm losing sleep over it. I haven't picked up the phone. I haven't written a, pretend text message. I'm really not there yet, but I'm just kind of like, seeing how quick it goes, seeing these moments come up. If something was tragically to happen to me or them or any of the people I'm talking about, how would I process that? And I think that I was a very good friend when I was a friend to every one of the people I'm talking about. And I'm sure they think the same. And then I think there became a time where we weren't. So I don't know. I think I'm on the fence on how you navigate, or do you just let it go? Do you just get to a point where friendships have their expiration date and you just leave it there? Because the one friend that I referred to that I did apologize to was actually someone who, the more I look at it now, I had the least in common with at this point in my life than I did with anybody I haven't apologized to. With her specifically, I did send an apology. I reacted to the moment of the world, and I took that entire moment out on her, and I know I did, and I owned that. But what happened was that to even have a conversation with me would have meant she had to look at herself, and so that never happened. And it is what it is, and I hope she's great and wish her well, and I hope all is well in her world. It's just that our two worlds were definitely not meant to. They were definitely going in two different directions, and were being held together by memories and what should have been and what friendships are supposed to do. Oh, you're supposed to be together forever. There was a point politically where you were either on this or that. Like we're not talking about who likes pepperoni on their pizza. We're talking about human rights situations. And so if you're on the opposite side of that fence from me, then you keep going. So that's kind of what happened there. And that's the fence she's on, and I'll wave to her from the right side of the fence. But or not really, because I wouldn't be near her fence. But that was, what's funny is the one person I apologize to is the only person at this point, like I'm saying, that I don't really feel like we would have ever kind of been in it was always a struggle. Does that make sense? I have friendships who have lasted since I'm a child. Like I spoke to a girl tonight who I have known since I'm 5 years old, and she's going to come and she's going to spend some time at my apartment. We haven't hung out in years, and having her here for a couple of nights is going to be heaven. It's going to be like we haven't missed a day. But then it's like there are these friends that you've known, and my God, you're just like fucking night and day, like two different people, but all coming from the same space. It's crazy. There was a fight earlier tonight, and I'm going to bring it up. There was a fight tonight on Facebook between people I grew up with, and it was like scandalous. Like it was like full on scandal. It was like crazy. And I was texting people from my neighborhood like, do you guys seeing what's going on here? And it's still going on. And it's like what they're even talking about, that we're from the same space, is mind-blowing. So the point is, some people go in some directions, regardless of, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at, right? And now I have the whole song in my head, Eric B. Yeah, I think that it's, I'm just trying to figure out if there comes a time in the breakup of a friendship, and I guess it is a breakup, where maybe reuniting and seeing what's still there is possible. Then there's times in friendships where the reuniting is never supposed to happen, and they live their lives and you live yours. But like, when you get a certain age, you start to think like, what really matters? What are the things? What are the triggers? What are the attributes that you want in a person? And did something piss me off 2 years ago that wouldn't have pissed me off today? And did you make a mistake losing some friends? Did I make a mistake? I'm not really sitting in the regret of any of it. I'm wondering if there is the right time to look back and see if you should reconnect, or if you should just allow those things to, stay in the past and then, enjoy the friends that you do have here and the people you have a lot of things in common with. I don't think you have to have, I guess this comes back to another, do you have to have, your core values, I think as you grow older is really important. I think that's why you do lose some of the friends you grew up with, because even though you came from the same space, you grew differently. And a lot of times, for me, younger, not now, there was a conflict, and it was a little difficult to maintain relationships while not having children with friends who had children. And it wasn't like there was a real conflict of human interest. I love my friends, but it really did complicate our friendships when you are all going to the park together, or you're all going on a family vacation together, or there are birthday parties. And, I was at all the birthday parties, and I was at all the, the communions and the christenings, and then I didn't, like, what about me? It was like, there was never, I couldn't even, this is factual. I couldn't even get friends to come visit me in this. I would be jackassing out to all places to go to the birthdays and the Christmases, and then I'd be like, hey guys, you want to come out to dinner on Friday? And it would be like, no. Like, somehow my single agenda did not qualify with their married life, parenting agenda. We couldn't quite, I always had to make the adjustments. And it wasn't, I'm not being, of course they had more to juggle than I had. I'm not taking that out of them. I'm not going to say that it was much easier to be me and be jumping into a, rent a car than it is to like pack 3 kids in the backseat of the car and come out for a drink on a Friday, which, don't be drinking and driving. And don't take your kids if they're coming out with me either. But, I guess, but when I was younger, it was, it definitely was a point of contention for me, where it was like, I not being able to stay on the phone so long, not being able to meet up, not being able to, having these different priorities. And then their friendship groups turned into the parents. My girlfriends became friends with other mothers. And then I was kind of the one girl without the kids. And again, navigating through this different screenplay of my life. Like I remember saying, that I have all the reoccurring characters. I'm like, I see all the same people all the time. When they're all in the same movie with me. But yeah, I just wonder if anyone else has had that. I mean, if you have, I've had the luxury of a lot of friends, and growing through it with them and getting to where we are now. And one beauty, the great thing is having friends, children who actually love me and who look up to me or think I'm really cool because I'm the cool aunt who, has this fun life and lives in the city and has famous friends. And now I have this. I have a podcast, which they shouldn't be watching because I talk about crazy shit. But yeah, I think that I had the luxury of having friends who were very generous with their families with me, but there was points where it was difficult to navigate how to matter, how to count, God, it's a fucking theme in my life. How to matter, how to count, how to make Kelley, where do I fit in? How do I get what I need while also supplying everyone with what they need? And one of my biggest things is trying to be a people pleaser. And sometimes not everybody wants you to help, So I'm sure some of my friends are out there listening like, shut the fuck up, Kelley. We didn't even want your help. You didn't even have to come to the stupid christening that we made you come to. But I did. I always showed up. And then I didn't show up for a lot of stuff. And then I stopped showing up. And then that's probably a whole other thing. I need to get all my friends on here to talk about, the friends I still talk to, about what it was like, what I was like. I wonder what it's like to be, I wonder what Deanna's take on me was, being the best friend with kids. She would probably say I was a shitty friend. I pulled back. When my friends had babies, I got scared and I would pull away. So our friendships would shift and it would be me shifting them. I think I would find new friends and to kind of, fill the void while they were raising their children. Waiting till the day they turned 18, like, oh, hey, let's hang out. It's probably 16. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about is how I navigated, but what it was like for them. Oh God, we got to invite Kelley again. She's not going to want to come. I want to know about that. Was I like the poor Kelley? You had to invite her because she doesn't have any kids. There's this thing on Instagram where everyone takes pictures of their kids. You guys have seen it, where it's like first day of school. And some years back, it was like my whole fucking feed was all these first days of schools. So I just snapped a picture of my front door, plain front door, and said kids on the first day of school. And people just fell out. And then I started doing it all the time. I'd take pictures of empty seats, kids at lunch. I would take a picture of a blank chair across from me. The husband came to visit. And it was an ongoing thing and people would crack up. But I got some inboxes like, don't worry, you're going to find somebody. And you don't have to have children to feel fulfilled. And I'm like, I'm fucking kidding, guys. I know. But if you want to send gifts, I am really sad about not making the children. But yeah, some people don't really get my humor sometimes. I put up, April 1st on April Fool's Day once, I put up a pregnancy test and I said, would you fucking believe it? I mean, I was like 52 years old. It was a couple of years. It was like, no, so it was 50. And I said, would you fucking believe it? I got knocked up for something so not in my character that I would ever announce my pregnancy that way. This episode of Still Can't Cook is brought to you by BetterHelp. The sun is out, the birds are chirping, and apparently that means you're supposed to be thriving. Yeah, no pressure, right? Everything's blooming, the days are longer, your friends are all doing sunset Pilates. Meanwhile, you're like, I'm just trying not to spiral today. Just because the season is changing does not mean that everything in your life magically gets easier. In fact, sometimes spring brings more pressure. To feel good, to do more, to be more. And that's why Mental Health Awareness Month is such a great reminder. Taking care of your mental health is not seasonal, it's essential. Whether you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just want someone to talk to, therapy can always help. BetterHelp has been connecting people to licensed therapists for over 10 years, with a network of over 30,000 providers. It's all online, designed to fit into your life. You can do your sessions on the phone, video, or even just on chat. And if your first therapist just doesn't feel like the right fit, you can switch at any time with no extra cost. So if spring feels like pressure instead of peace, just know that help is there. We're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/cook. Now let's get back to the show. So I am sure that there were more than one conversation amongst my girlfriends and their husbands, like, should we invite Kelley again? Because I did. I mean, it was complicated. I did have to rent the car. I did have to buy the gift. I have to find the outfit. Then I had to, I have to look cute. I got to do all the right things. I got to be polite of the women who are married. We talked about this too, and not be too friendly to the husbands because I'm the single girl. So yeah, there was a lot involved, but I wonder if my friends were like feeling sorry for me and they had to invite me. They really didn't want me there. Anyway, I want you to tell me, guys. Text me, let me know. Not right now because I'm working. But yeah, so, making the decision, really, it was a choice. There came a point in my life where you either were going to have a child or not have a child. It tells you, your body's changes. And when you're at, in your 30s and it's like, you're clicking. I'm not saying anybody in your 40 can't have kids. Good for you guys. My period of absolutely not was somewhere around 35 where I was like, am I going to do this? And I had been in love. I had wonderful men. I've had some real shitheads too. But with, some of the people I was in love with, it's like, are we going to? And it was just never even a second. Never for a second did I think I wanted it. I thought I was supposed to. I really thought it was something I had to do. Like, how do you not have a baby? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? But seriously, I loved babies. I remember my sister's son, Cole, which is her youngest. When I held Cole, it was right at that time where you're on your cusp, Cal. You tick, tick, tick. And I remember holding him in the hospital. I was there for all of the births. I'm very lucky to have been there for my nieces and nephews. And I held that little baby, and though I fell in love, and I know what love at first sight means from being at my niece Casey's first birth, it's the most magical thing in the world to see a child be born. It is, as close to heaven as you can get, and you fall instantly in love. And I've experienced that, but then I want to go home. It's like, oh, I love him so much. Okay, bye. Gotta go. I did the little naked thing. I had my nieces and nephews on my chest to bond with these babies when they were born. But it was just, I don't know, I just never, ever, ever wanted to be that forever. Now, sitting where I am now, thinking about, what scares me for not having children? When I'm old. That's the only thing that scares me. It's like, who the fuck is going to take care of me? Because of what I saw what we did with my mom and my dad. Like, when it's me, my nieces and nephews, you better step up, kids, because, we took care of my Uncle Roy, for sure, but not as well as we took care of my mom and dad. So y'all better just be nice to me. That's my only fear, not having children for the sake of taking care of me. But then you have kids who don't even like their parents and don't take care of them either. My kids would like me because I'm super cool. But I think that that's the only thing the only regret I have now is like, shit. And I think it would be kind of cool to have someone who looks like me, who has like some of my mannerisms. And I have it with my nieces and nephews, but I don't see it the way I think you would see it in your own child, That's probably pretty dope. And I'd have a cool kid. I'm cool. So I think I would have kind of a fun child. But then I would be like, who would I have it with? When I go through the list of people, on again, off again, that would have made sense, but by the time that was happening, we would have, no, that wouldn't have, it would have been weird. We were both too old. I don't know. I don't know who I would have had a kid with if I was going to have a kid. So I didn't do it. That's what happened. So some of the things that happen when you don't have children is that you have such a great sense of freedom, which I know you have. What I hear from parents is that you have that as children get older. And when they're very, very young, like you can throw them in a, little hacky sack thingamajiggy and take them places. And then those middle years when they're developing, which is the hard parts, the school, the hobbies, da-da-da. And so I think that, of course, parents get a sense of freedom when the children grow older. But again, as I've learned, and I know now from having a dog, is there is never a sense of complete, calm, because something that you love is out there in the universe without you. Like I have Oliver in front of my face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To imagine him going off with a backpack to school, it's like, Oliver driving would not work well for me. So I could imagine that it's got to be very, very difficult for parents to bring children up and to have them grow and evolve and move and do the things that they do in the planet. But I think not having children gave me a great sense of freedom, but it also made it really important to develop who I am, because I'm being judged only by me, which is also kind of fucking crazy, because when you're a parent, you actually get judged by your children. So if your children aren't exactly what they're supposed to be or doing exactly what, hitting the numbers or playing the sports and doing all that, like what if your kid's, just a kid and not Jimmy athlete or the most beautiful girl in the world? Like it's got to be so difficult to be judged by every single thing your children do. Like I got to avoid that, but I guess as a parent you got to deal with that. these are the things that one of the things that I say, and I say it a lot, is that when I'm watching things, I see things from the point of the child, even at my age. I mean, of course, I relate to the adult as well, but in the dynamics of a relationship, I really do tend to see it from the point of the child. And so when it comes to raising children and being a parent, I think it's probably, he knows that I needed him right now because I'm talking about being a parent and you going off to college or driving. And the one good thing is he'll never drive. But yeah, I think it's probably so difficult to be judged by the least or greatest of your children. And I'm sure parents deal with that all the time. I know my parents did. And my mom would say, and I say this with my friends, we talk about this, is that you're only as good as the least of your child. Like, the hardest thing that's going on for your children is where you're at all the time. So if you have 2 kids and one's unhappy, then you're not good. If you have 4 kids and one's unhappy, then you're not good. It's like you judge yourself as a parent on the whole of your children. And that, I just don't think I had that in me. I don't think I could do it. I think I would be going bananas. And I see it. What a job. Like, what an unbelievably difficult, amazing, I mean, every day, all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week job, being a parent and being so affected by something you can't control. Maybe that's it. Maybe that just scared the shit out of me. The whole concept, that idea of that. I had that with my parents, right? I talk about being so afraid of anything happening to them. Now imagine if you flip it and this is I can't. No, you know what? I couldn't have kids. I would have literally gone nuts. I would not be able to handle that because I would be afraid of everything they do. I am afraid of everything happening all the time to everybody. So if I had kids, they'd be homeschooled. They were not allowed to have friends. They're not allowed on social media. They would be locked in the house and unable to ever move from me because God forbid. And that's really scary. And I mean, I see it with my friends, my nieces, my nephews, my brothers and sisters. Every little thing your kid does affects you. So I think, and again, it's the most love in the world. I know that. I know that it's the most, I hear it all the time. It's the most satisfying, most incredible thing you could ever do. And of course it's very selfless and you giving of yourself. And, I can't imagine, but I do see it. And I know how I felt as a child and what I felt from my parents. And I just don't think that it was in fact I don't think there was a mistake. I'm not someone who buys into the ideas of mistakes. I think everything happens the way it's absolutely supposed to. So because I don't have any children, I just got to figure out what it is I am supposed to do. I do believe this is it. I definitely believe that this is it. I like telling stories, I like talking to people, but I'm not quite sure what else. There's got to be more. I want more. I want to know, I need to leave something, right? Like, what do we leave behind? And I think as a parent, that's really scary because you have to raise these children to be good people and like care about things you care about and have their head in the right place and not be mean and not harm anybody else. And oh my God, all the responsibility of being a parent. I couldn't hack it. I can't. Being a dog mom is fucking hard. Putting him in a harness and not a leash is such a big decision every day because I'm like, oh, I can't do that. It'll choke him. I think that's a big deal. Being a parent, like, you got to figure out what you feed a kid. I would have all overweight kids with like diabetes. It would be terrible. And I don't even know what I would do. Yeah, I'm too fucked up to be a parent. So that's God save those kids from me. But I'm a really good aunt. Right? I could say that. So I think it's interesting that women are building legacies in different ways now, new ways now. We have a lot more we can do with social media, with outlets like this. Like you can mentor, you can do, there's a lot of, there's more writers and directors and more females in the creative fields. Women are finding ways of making legacies for themselves other than just being a mother, and not that isn't enough, because clearly it is. But if you want more, there's so much more available to us now. And I think that's what's exciting for me at this point in my life. It's, what's the choices? Like there's so many women do so many things. Like, there's all this, these women I'm listening to on YouTube, all this stuff about narcissism. And I'm like kind of obsessed with narcissists, clearly. And I mean that in every way, but it's just a really fascinating personality, and I think there's a lot of them. And the more you learn about a narcissist, the more you find out about yourself. Anyway, so I'm watching a lot of women who are teaching other women about relationships and about empowering yourself. And I mean, I love Louise Hay. Louise Hay has been around for years, but I'm just figuring out what you're good at, what turns you on, what gets you excited, and then doing it. Like, how do we put our power to use outside of the home, outside of parenting, outside of being I have the title thing, outside of being someone's girlfriend, wife, sister, mother, daughter. How do we just be us? Where do I focus, Kelley Fahey, and what's going to be like? What's my thing? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What a gift to be able to ask this question, right? Because there are people who can't. But if you're lucky to be able to say, what do I want to do? There's no one who can, actually. I don't think there is. Everyone has a space, whatever your thing is. As long as you find what you want to do and find a way of doing things that might be a little bit off the beaten path. Because I feel like a lot of people, I do have friends who are at the place where their kids are now grown. And so now they are just back to being, either a mother, single mother, or a mother and father who are now who they were before these kids were there. And they got to figure it out now again. It's like there's all these places, all these times of starting over, even in the relationship with the children, same as I'm dealing with without. Because here I am now at this stage of my life where it's like, okay, I don't have to 9 to 5 clock it in. I don't have, the children. I don't have friends with younger children. I just kind of have a freedom. And so where do I put it? What do I want to do? And of course, this I want to do, clearly. But then what else? I have my stories. I have great stories, and we can talk more about them. But I write. I've been a writer since I'm a little kid. I'm a travel agent. I have a great travel business if you need rooms. Not joking, but I do that, and I love doing that. I love making people happy. I love getting people a trip that they love. I love getting them to a hotel. I love the bars. I love giving someone an experience. But I think there's many more things. The stories I need to work on. I need to figure out a way of putting these stories together. I've written these stories over years of being long distance, and I write them even whenever on request, and sometimes just when I feel like it for on again, off again. He is the person who gets all the stories. I don't write them for anybody else. But there are a lot of them, and they're really good. Explicit, but there's an audience for that. So I need to figure out what to do with that, because I feel like I'm sitting on something that's creative and something that I think would matter. I think people would enjoy it. And then what else? What else do I want to do? I want to do everything. I want to write a story. I want to write a movie about my life. I want to write a TV show. I want to do everything. I want to do everything. What's great about this is that this created, it kind of opened back up like creative juices. Like there's moments in this where, something goes wrong. I know it seems flawless because I'm so good at it, but no, I'm kidding. But there are moments where you kind of have to almost, I acted for years. I took acting classes for years. I went to William Esper. I went to Sandy Shurin. I was on Law and Order SVU. I still get my residuals, but small role, but I did get paid for it, and they do pay forever. But I was an actor trying to avoid real life, I think, but not to, acting is amazing. I don't think that's really what I wanted to do, but I do feel like now, I could do that. Like, I just want to do all the creative stuff. I just want to make sure that I have something I leave behind, and now I have this. I remember Dave Chappelle did his special, The Dreamer, and at the end of all of Dave's specials, he puts a montage of pictures of our friends and his friends and celebrities, and I was blessed that at the end of The Dreamer, he posted, I'm on The Dreamer, and I cried. I was like, oh my God, like I am absolutely there, that will be there forever, and now because of him, I am forever part of something. And I really, because I don't have that. I don't have that on my own, but I do now. But when that happened, it was just to see yourself on television like that. And, I wasn't expecting it. It was a great picture, still there, end credits of The Dreamer. And it was just such a magical, for me, I was like, oh my God, like forever, everyone knows I existed. I was here now. And he did that for me. Thank you, David and Elaine. But now I feel like I have that this gives me that, you know? Does that make sense? I think if you don't leave children behind, what do you leave behind? What is your legacy? What is mine? I'm kind of, I'm trying to figure it out with you guys right now, live. Seeing yourself on screen and recognizing that you've made a mark for me, seeing this, when I watch my episodes, and I do watch, sometimes I'll put it on the television and it's like, holy shit, holy shit. You know, then I'm judging myself and tearing myself apart, but it's like, wow, that's other people are doing this too. And that for me has been incredibly satisfying and definitely a dream I didn't know I had. Having said I wanted to do it and then having it happen is magical. So that, if nothing else, if being true to yourself and following through on things you want to do, it's important for me to figure out what I want to leave behind. And I'm very happy up to date that there's been a few things now that I feel are timeless, that will forever be there. This being a very important part of it, and probably the most important part of it, because it's the most of me that I've ever given to anybody. So, and to everybody, actually. So this is extremely important to me. And now I'm just wondering what else, like what comes from this. You guys coming back every week is amazing, and I can't thank you enough, really. I am honored when I get the text messages and the phone calls when people quote me and say things I said. People keep talking about peeing in pools. I'm like, oh, that's all you're going to remember about me. But and I'm probably not going to be invited to anybody's pool this summer. I forgot about that part. I was like, oh, great, Kelley, set yourself up to be sitting in my household with my bathing suit on waiting for someone to call me. No one wants to shower with me anymore. But yeah, I think it's important that you find what you want to do and make your mark. What do you want people to remember when you're gone? Like, it's very important to me to leave something. And you know, the way my life turned out, like, look, I didn't do the things that everyone thought I was supposed to do. I didn't do the things I thought I was supposed to do sometimes because I had those voices in my head of what it's supposed to look like. And it is hard when your best friends are getting married and they're all having children and you aren't part of that group. You know, it is hard to not feel bad about missing out on things. And I'm sure, I mean, I'm glad about the menopause. I forget what I forget so much. I probably was sad sometimes. Right now, I don't remember that I was ever sad. But it's never too late to find your thing and to figure out the thing that's going to wake you up every day happy and inspire you. And I literally go through the world thinking about what I want to talk about now in a way I've never have before. So it's important. And thank you guys for giving me that, because it's every day now. I'm like, oh, I got to talk about that, or I'll write down something. Oh, like that's a funny take on things. Until we take our last breath, there's always options. There's so many opportunities every day. Just waking up in the morning, opening our eyes, and having a new day, there means there's an opportunity. You know, it's like, herein lies another day. What are you going to do with it? And what are you going to leave behind? I'm still trying to figure it out. I know I have this, and I want to do so many more things. And as we figure them out, I'll tell you, but we being me and my many voices in my head. But I know that there's a lot more to do, and I feel like it's just starting. So I'm super excited about things, even though I didn't do it the way I was supposed to and whatever, but I'm here. So that's all that matters. So this is the episode today. My episode is about figuring out what I'm doing with the rest of my life. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for taking the ride with me again. Thank you so much for being here every week. I appreciate it. I will be here again next week. Look forward to seeing you. So subscribe and review and follow at Still Can't Cook, please, and thank you. I will see you next week. Hey guys, thank you so much for showing up for another episode of Still Can't Cook. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on YouTube or any other podcast provider. And if you're on Instagram or TikTok, please follow us at Still Can't Cook. Love to have you guys back every week. So happy that you joined us and look forward to seeing you next week.